Shalom, shalom, shalom. I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. Yahweh being the name of the Heavenly Father, who the world calls God. Yahweh Shai being the name of his beloved Son, who the world inwardly calls Jesus. This is the brother Yair Radad at WFI Indiana Camp, coming at y'all with a quick cold cut through the Spirit, just going into being a doer of the word. All right, because you don't want to be in a space or found in a space or find yourself in the space of just being a hearer of it, and you're not taking heed to the words that's being brought to you, whether that be through counsel, whether that be through just you may be watching a video, you may watch this video or whatever videos you're watching, and you see and hear the words of the Lord coming out, or whether that be you doing your daily readings throughout the week. You don't want to be somebody that takes those things and casts them behind them, or just your mind, right, which is your belly. They try the words and then they spit them out the other side, or somebody that just reading for vanity's sake. And a lot of people do that. They may not think that, you understand, they may think that they gain the knowledge in doing this and taking in the words of the Lord. But if you read the scriptures, if you read in this, right, you read in this Bible right here, this book right here, and you don't apply it to your life, you're not trying to transform your ways to model yourself after the righteous men and women that you read about in the scriptures, you read the Bible for vanity's sake. It's to none effect unto you, because that's how you making it when you read the words of the Lord or hear the words of the Lord and don't apply it. So that's what this video is going to be over, being a doer of the word, you understand, and not a hearer only. Right, so let's get to classic. Let's go to the book of James, chapter 1. All right, just gonna get a couple precepts, a couple points. You understand? Just hitting on this right here. All right, this is the book of James, chapter 1, and verse 22. It says, "But be ye doers of the word, and not hearers only, deceiving your own selves." You see that? So that's what you don't want to be like. You don't want to be somebody that is just a hearer of the word only. Because when you do that, all you're doing is deceiving yourself at the end of the day. Putting yourself out there to be some great one, or you putting yourself out there to be some type of humble sister, or a sister after the liking of one of your righteous foremothers like Judith or Esther or whoever. But inwardly, you just, your fruits, you understand, it's off. It's wicked. You're not applying the scriptures. You just pretending basically, and they gonna be unto you as a thing of naught, because you don't apply the scriptures. You don't apply the precepts to your life. You just know a lot. All right, you know a lot. Even in the world, like in the world, people would say, "Oh, I'm good at giving relationship advice," but the whole time they relationship is tore up, or they never apply the things and the counsel that they give to others. All right, when you come into this truth, that's how you do not want to be. Like, you don't want to be somebody that you give all this great counsel. You understand, you always got a precept for somebody, right? A brother or a sister, they come up, they need help with something. You give them all these precepts. Well, brother, I think you should handle it like this. You should do this. Well, brother, you gotta go on the fast. You need to read this, right? Make sure you read and everything. But you're not doing none of that. All right, you don't read. You fast once every 2 months. You don't apply or take none of the counsel that you give out. That's how you do not want to be. You want to be, you understand, a doer of the word. So when you read these scriptures, you want to apply them. When you read about how Yahweh Shai conducted himself, how Yahweh Shai defeated and fought against temptation, you want to try to apply that as much as you can in these fleshly bodies that we in. When you read accounts about how certain kings dealt with certain situations, you want to apply that to your life, whether that be something good, or whether you see how a king dealt with a particular situation and they went off. You want to say, you know what? I'm going to be better than that. I'm going to do the opposite. or I'm gonna do the right thing in that situation. I see the situation that he was in and how he got jammed up. I'm gonna try to do everything I can to make sure that if I ever get in that situation, I do it a different way. All right. So you learning from these different things. That's what the Bible's about. We bring this out all the time. All right, real quick. I'm gonna go to Romans. Bring this out all the time. Right? Romans chapter 15. And verse 4. All right, this is the book of Romans chapter 15 and verse 4. It says, for whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning, that we through patience and comfort of the scriptures might have hope. So the reason that these things, this book is compiled for you, is for your learning at the end of the day. That you may be able to learn from these things, get comfort from these things, understanding and knowing that you are not the first person to go through what you're going through. You're not the first person to deal with what you're dealing with. You have many, many men and women deal with what you either going through or are going to go through. And this book, it's this book right here, these records that we have for you to be able to guide yourself through those different situations, how to deal with these things, how to deal with if you got a spirit on you that you having trouble praying away. Well, brother, go on a fast, sister, go on a fast. Ask somebody else to go on a fast with you. You understand? And pray that thing away. Ask if you're in a congregation, ask the church to pray for you. All right, like you read about in the book of Acts chapter 12, how the church, they prayed for Peter without ceasing. So on, this is so many other things, but we got to make sure that in these last days, right? Going back to the book of James chapter 1 and 22, but be ye doers of the word. We got to make sure that we be doers of the word. No matter how much, and yeah, we understand that we in these fleshly bodies, but we still got to strive to be perfect. You understand? Like our Father in heaven is perfect. He wouldn't tell us to do that if it wasn't possible. So you got to strive for that each and every single day. That don't mean you're not going to fall. That don't mean things won't come, whatever the case may be, but be a doer of the word. All right, if you do fall, guess what? Be a doer of the word. Repent. Turn away from that sin. Right, and do so no more. And come back, you understand, strong through the Spirit. And serving the Most High God in sincerity and in truth. All right, you're gonna have to apply, right? Let's go to the book of Baruch. All right, it's the book of Baruch, chapter. So I could bear with me. It's the book of Baruch, chapter 4, and verse 28. And it reads, for as it was your mind to go astray from God, so being returned, seek him 10 times more. So when you go astray from the Lord, hey, you want to come back, hey, going hard, man. You understand? You didn't mean to fall, but guess what? You did fall. So since you did fall, hey, when you get up and repent, hey, go 10 times harder through the Spirit. All right, turn it up a notch, because these spirits are going to continue to turn it up on you. So guess what? You got to turn it up each and every time. If not, you're just going to get overtaken, because evils is multiplying upon the face of the earth. All right, let's go to the book of Matthew, chapter 7. All right. It's the book of Matthew, chapter 7, and verse 21. All right, this is the book of Matthew, chapter 7, and verse 21. It says, not every one that saith unto me, Lord, Lord, shall enter into the kingdom of heaven, but he that doeth the will of my Father which is in heaven. So everybody, just because you prophesy, or just because you in this truth, you understand, just because you know what's going on, or you read your 2 chapters a day, you pray 3 times a day, that don't mean you understand that you just gonna inherit the kingdom of heaven. Right? It's more to it than that. You gotta keep these laws, statutes, and commandments to the best of your ability in these last days. You gotta try your best to be blameless. Right? Yeah, you want to be blameless for man, but you gotta be blameless before the Lord, man. and striving for perfection each and every day. You want to make sure you're giving all, so on and so forth. It's a lot that comes with it. And everybody that does these things or go out and prophesy, you understand, chiefly go out and prophesy or project themselves to be a great one or whatever the case may be, that doesn't mean that you're just going to inherit the kingdom. All right, it's more to it than that. Not only that, but you don't want to be a hypocrite in this thing. You don't want to be somebody that says one thing, but then behind closed doors, you're doing another. Or you saying one thing, I don't know how it is, but at home, you're a completely different person, right? Or you around the sisterhood, you this way, but then when you get back home, you turn into a nigga woman, right? You don't clean, you don't cook for your husband, you just a nigga woman. All right. These are things that you don't, are in categories that you don't want to fall into. It says, many will say to me in that day, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in thy name? And in thy name have cast out devils, and in thy name done many wonderful works. Right? You got brothers that do mighty things on the highways and byways. You understand? Things that are beautiful. Casting out demons, healing the sick. You understand? Giving life unto our people, raising up dry bone, all type of things are done on the highways and byways through the spirit and power of the Most High God. But at the end of the day, that doesn't just mean because you do those different things or you've done those different things that, oh yeah, that brother's he's definitely in the kid. It don't work like that, man. You got to make your call on an election sure in the last days, and you got to endure until the end. I'm not exempt from that. Nobody's exempt from that. You understand? We got to endure into the end and try to be blameless as much as we can in these last days, and not be hypocrites. You understand? We can't be a hearer of the word and not a doer. All right. It says, and verse 23, and then I will profess unto them, I never knew you. Depart from me, ye worker of iniquity. All right, because sometimes you may have brothers that's out on the highways and byways, mighty teachers prophesying the words of the Lord, and then they get home behind closed doors and a completely different person, or got secret sins, or whatever the case may be. All right, same thing for a sister. Maybe a sister, she doing a lot for the congregation, or whatever the case may be, and down at home, it's a completely different story. Or behind closed doors, it's just a completely different story. You don't want to fall, once again, into this type of category. All right, because the Lord said, hey, he'll say, depart from me, ye that work iniquity. He said, I'll say, I never knew you. And that's probably got to be one of the many, out of the many things, but one of the scariest things to think about the Lord saying to you. In that day that you meet the Lord, and the one thing that he say to you is, depart from me, ye that work iniquity. I never knew you. All because you wasn't in this thing in purity and sincerity and truth. All right. Now that doesn't mean that you're never gonna go off, you're never gonna fall, so on and so forth. You want to abstain from that as much as possible, but you want to make sure you serving the Lord in sincerity and in truth. You understand, and not being a hypocrite in these last days. All right. Let's read on though. It says, verse 24. Therefore, whoso heareth these sayings of mine and doeth them, I will liken him unto a wise man which built his house upon a rock. So the Lord are liken a man that hear these sayings, whether that be you hear the Lord sayings, right? You read the scriptures, you understand, you get wise count, you hear these sayings and do it them. The Lord said, hey, a man that's wired like that, hey, that's a wise man. But reading on, it says, a wise man which built his house upon a rock. It says, and the rain descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew, and beat upon that house, and it fell not, for it was founded upon a rock. Meaning, what? A solid foundation. It wasn't rooted in wickedness or hypocrisy. It wasn't rooted in folly or madness or secret sins. It wasn't rooted in wanting to come into the truth to try to obtain a certain amount of wives. It wasn't rooted in coming to the truth to try to be a great one. It wasn't rooted in anything but pureness of heart, to want to serve the Lord in sincerity and in truth, to want to serve the Lord with all your heart and with all your soul and try to get the kingdom ultimately. You understand? But reading on, it says, verse 26, and every one that heareth these sayings of mine and doeth them not shall be likened unto a foolish man, which built his house upon the sand. And when you read these words, when you read the words of the Lord, you hear wise counsel, you watch videos of brothers teaching, so on and so forth, whatever the case may be, and you don't apply these different things to your life, you liken unto a foolish man. Somebody that doesn't take heed ultimately to righteous counsel that's coming from the scriptures, or that may come from a brother, or that may come from a sister, or you watching the video of another brother teaching, whatever the case may be. You have to apply the precepts. You have to apply the scriptures. All right. Reading on, finishing it out. It says, which built his house upon the sand, and the rain descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew. The trials, the tribulations, right? Doctrines, you understand? Fluid different things. It says that beat upon that house, and it fell, and great was the fall of it. And that's how the Lord had this thing for you, man. The Lord have you have a great fall. All right. And God forbid that that's likened unto one of us. Right? God forbid that that's likened unto one of you. Lord willing, brothers and sisters continue to endure in sincerity and in truth. And houses is built upon a solid foundation. Houses is built upon rock and not upon sand. You understand? Because in the last days, a lot of things will be magnified, right? If that's a word I can use, right? A lot of things will be magnified. Wickedness is going to increase, like we bring out a lot, like you read about in the book of 2nd Esdras chapter 5. Read about in the book of 2nd Esdras chapter 14 and 16 on down, how wickedness is going to increase. So if wickedness is increasing, guess what we got to do? We got to increase as well spiritually and in righteousness. All right. So not being hypocrites, you understand, being doers of the word and not hearers only, and applying these different things that we read in the scriptures about, applying the different accounts that we read about certain of our forefathers and foremothers went through and how they dealt with them and how they applied them. That doesn't mean that you're just gonna wake up one morning and everything that you read you just apply on the spot. It don't realistically work like that. But you have to, that's why it's important to meditate upon the precepts. That's a perfect thing. That's why it's important to meditate upon the things that you read. Because when you meditate upon these different things, you understand, you'll begin to understand that, okay, in this situation, all right, this is how Peter dealt with this situation, or this is how Paul dealt with this situation. Paul used wisdom. All right, so you know what? I'm not gonna snap off on this I'm not gonna snap off on the officer. I'm just gonna, you know what? I'm gonna use wisdom. I'm gonna deal. You understand? Or okay, this is how David dealt with this situation, or this is how Job dealt with this situation. All right, he didn't get all this and that. Okay, he dealt with it like this. Okay, I'm gonna deal with it like this in wisdom. All right, there's plenty of accounts in the scriptures for you to meditate upon, to use in situations that you go through in your life, in your daily life. All right. So with that being said, real quick, let me get this in the book of Sirach, chapter 37. It's the book of Sirach, chapter 37, and verse 19. And it reads, there is one that is wise and teacheth many, and yet is unprofitable to himself. So you don't want to be somebody like that. You don't want to be somebody that's profitable unto many and teaches many, but you're unprofitable unto yourself. Why are you unprofitable unto yourself? Because, brother, because, sister, you don't apply the scriptures to your own life. You don't apply the wise counsel that you may give unto your own life. And that's what you got to do. You have to apply these precepts. You have to, right? Let me get this last one real quick. Let's go to the book of Psalms, classic. Psalms chapter 1 and verse 1. It says, "Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth at the seat of the scornful." Right, here's the point. It says, "But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law doeth he meditate day and night." So a man or a woman that meditates day and night into the law, meditates day and night upon the precepts, that person will be a wise man or woman. Why? Because if they're meditating upon these different things, you understand, Lord willing, they'll apply it as well. Because you may be in a situation, you may get into an argument or whatever the case may be, and you meditating upon these different things, or in the midst of it, a precept comes to your mind and you're like, you know what, Salakia, I shouldn't even be doing all this. You know what, I understand you, it's okay, etc., etc. However it got to go in wisdom. And these are things that once you start to get to a certain point, you'll be able to do. We all want to reach that point to where we in the middle of an argument or whatever the case may be, and we're able to catch ourselves and understand, like, okay, let's get back in the spirit. Right? I gotta work on that myself. And then eventually getting to the point to where you're able to prevent certain things from happening because you're able to snap into the spirit. You may get out the spirit for a quick second and you able to snap back into it and say, you know what? All right, Salakia Khan. And leave it at that, or talk it out, or however it gotta go through wisdom of the precepts. All right, we all have to get better at these different things in the last days. All right, let's go to the book of Matthew, chapter 11. All right, one of my favorite precepts. All right, this is the book of Matthew, chapter 11, and verse 29. It says, "Take my yoke upon you and learn of me." So the Lord said, hey, take my yoke upon you and learn of me. So Yahushua is saying, hey, look, learn from what I go through. Don't just, and a lot of Jake and E, they know everything the Lord went through, or everything these prophets went through, but don't apply none of it. You know all this different stuff, but you don't never apply it. Like, you got to start applying these different things. Once you start to do that, you'll understand that a lot of things, it'll just be beautiful. I'll just put it like that. And I desire to reach that, that level as well, to where I'm able to apply every single thing. You understand? That's what we got to work towards each and every single day. All right? While we're in these fleshly bodies. Until Abaratazah, we get those glorified bodies. Then, you understand? Be perfect through the spirit. Right? But verse 29, it says, "Take my yoke upon you and learn of me, for I am meek and lowly in heart, and ye shall find rest unto your souls." You understand? So in these last days, we got to make sure that we learning and taking heed to these precepts, to the scriptures, to these accounts, to the records, to the things that we read, hear that are righteous counsel. You understand? And see that as righteous counsel, and learn from these different things and apply them. Right? So we don't find ourselves in situations where we find ourselves being hypocrites, or we find ourselves being hearers of the word, you understand, but not doers of the word. So that we can avoid hearing that, "Depart from me, I never knew you." All right? So Lord willing, brothers and sisters, this was edifying through the spirit. Lord willing, brothers and sisters, continue to endure in these last days and become doers of the word and not hearers only, right? So with that, I want to give mighty Kwam Yasha Allah, Shalom.